Have you ever heard of or maybe watched the almost 4-hour-long video by hbomberguy titled Plagiarism and YouTube? Have you noticed a growing trend in channels pumping out longer and longer video essays? Well, I have, and today I'd like to talk about it. In this video, I'll be breaking down some of the reasons why I think lengthy video essays have become so popular in recent years, and give some examples of what makes a video essay good or bad with an excessive runtime. Some of the pros and cons, so to speak. If you enjoy this video, please make sure to hit the like button, drop a comment below letting me know what you think, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Now, before we begin, I have to apologize for once more sounding like I'm recording in the back rooms, but I still can't get my mic to work, so I'm just screen recording on my laptop. At this point, I'm seriously considering just adopting it into my aesthetic. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. So you may be wondering, what is a video essay exactly? And what makes a video essay so different from any other video on the platform? Well, I can answer that for you. Simply put, a video essay can generally be defined as a video that breaks down a topic in a similar structure to a written essay, with an introduction, a synopsis, or body of script explaining the subject, various examples of the topic, and a concise closing statement that summarizes what readers should take away from the essay, except it's recorded and produced in the style of a commentary video. Though there's an important element to the video that distinguishes it from other commentary, mainly that instead of it being merely an opinion piece, there's usually a great deal of research that's involved. A lot of great essays on YouTube feel like you're watching an amateur documentary on the subject. Everyone has their own style. Some are comical, some are more serious, depending on the creator or the subject, and scripting is far less rigid than one you would typically find in a thesis. There's less focus on proper grammar and sentences, and more on imitating one's natural speaking voice. Some essayists don't even script their videos, but instead they use notes or an outline as a guide so that it feels more organic. But one thing they all have in common is that video essays are generally meant to be more of a think piece that allow the audience to draw their own conclusions from it, but while having a fully rounded understanding of the subject. Comparably, written essays can vary in length, depending on the topic being discussed and how much context needs to be provided. But typically everything required to understand the topic can usually be summed up in about 1,500 to 5,000 words in length. Unless you are writing a thesis or a dissertation on a subject, which is typically anywhere from 10,000 to 50,000 words, it really isn't necessary to exceed that amount. For reference, a 2,000-word script is roughly 10 minutes of uninterrupted speaking. For a lot of creators, exceeding 10 minutes in video length is usually where interest starts to drop off. But in an age where attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, how is it that such long pieces of media that feel more like feature films than YouTube videos can become so successful on the platform and garner tens of millions of views? How is it that despite hbomberguy's video reaching nearly 4 hours in length, it's currently sitting at 38 million views? There have been many theories as to how these videos reach that success, and I have a few of my own. The first and most obvious reason, in my own opinion, has a lot to do with monetization. Not only has there been a rising popularity in longer videos, which makes the algorithm tend to favor them, but longer videos means more mid-roll ads can be placed throughout and generate more revenue. Longer videos also mean more time to advertise for sponsorships or for creators to showcase their own products. This is a good thing for creators looking to profit from their content, as well as advertisers and YouTube itself as a company, but it can be a little annoying for the average viewer. It means that YouTube is prioritizing length over quality, and any video exceeding 30 minutes is likely going to outperform higher quality produced videos, if they're monetization friendly. But the second reason puts less emphasis on monetary gain, or the algorithm as the culprit, and more on the overall entertainment value of the creator themselves. If audiences like a specific creator's personality, they're far more likely to watch longer videos made by them, which adds to the rise in popularity I mentioned. If the viewer likes the specific topic being covered, and especially wants to hear the views and opinions of their favorite creator covering this topic, they're far more likely to engage with longer content to get more exposure to them. Particularly when the channel uploads videos less often than what the audience would like. It can be very dissatisfying for some viewers to have to wait weeks or even months between uploads, only to get 10 minutes of enjoyment. For some creators, the amount of research needed to cover a topic could take an indeterminate amount of time to gather. Depending on how complex the issue being covered, a thorough deep dive into a subject could require months of dedicated research. The creator may have to sift through hours of interviews of key persons of interest involved in the topic, or pages and pages of documents that need to be referenced and properly cited. And it could mean many more weeks of production and editing before the final product is even ready to be uploaded. But it begs to question that if a YouTuber could much more easily and frequently produce shorter videos with shorter gaps in between uploads, why wouldn't they? That, my friends, I think just comes down to personal choice. Some topics simply can't be summed up in 10 minutes, not without doing an extreme disservice to the source material. Hbomberguy's plagiarism video is a good example of this, even excluding all other examples of plagiarism that he referenced throughout, aside from the main topic, which was the accusation he levied against James Somerton. I imagine the video would still be at least 2 hours long, with all the instances he uncovered of James blatantly ripping off someone else's work and passing it for his own. But this doesn't mean video essays are required to be lengthy videos, rather than smaller parts in a series, for example. A video being longer doesn't necessarily make it better either. Sometimes a longer script just means more opportunities for creators to make mistakes, implement bad research, or expose themselves for the terrible people they truly are the longer they talk. Like in the case of In Praise of Shadows, an essayist that uploaded a 3+ hour video titled Bad Conservative Horror Movies that attempted to subvert viewers' expectations in a style similar to Hbomberguy, but failed in every regard to not only entertain viewers but also to provide solid evidence for the claims he was making. The video has since been deleted, though it's been re-uploaded for archival purposes, and serves as a cautionary tale of what not to do when researching a video essay. Sometimes less truly is more, as the saying goes. If the information provided in your video is factual, or at the very least properly cited so that viewers can check the validity of the sources for themselves, a short, concise video will be far more valuable in the long run than 3+ hours of complete and utter hogwash. 1,500 to 2,000 words should be more than enough for any viewer to understand the point being made. And any more than that should really only add to or emphasize the existing points. There's nothing wrong with adding filler or fluff to your essay for entertainment purposes if it's meant to enhance the experience for the viewer. But making a script excessively long only for the sake of lengthening the duration of your video is usually where this quality starts to go down, if you're not careful. Overall, I do think props should be given to creators that are willing to put in the time and effort needed to make a high-quality feature film-length essay for their subscribers to enjoy. I don't really see excessively long content negatively impacting the platform to an extent that we should ever be boycotting it or unsubscribing from channels based purely on runtime of a video. I do think that the expectation that all essayists should be uploading such heavy pieces of work to their channels is a little unrealistic. But we're so used to seeing this type of content now that it does almost feel like a requirement to be considered a video essay. If people genuinely enjoy it as a hobby, or have the capacity to make that choice as a career YouTuber, all the more power to them. When I first set out to make content, I too decided that I would eventually make 45-minute long podcast-style videos in place of shorter, more average-length clips. But spending more time talking didn't raise the quality of my channel. It's a decision that has to be made along with accounting for the time and dedication required to research, produce, edit, and render such a large file. It requires more CPU power and good quality tools for the project. It's not something I would recommend if you're looking to put out more consistent, daily content for the algorithm, unless you have a really flexible schedule. Sometimes it's much better in the long run to simply ensure that the shorter videos you upload are fact-checked, that the material is sourced in an ethical way, and that your audience has a clear understanding of the overall message you're wanting to get across to them. And if you do make mistakes at some point, because everyone does, we're only human, just be willing to correct the record. And no matter how long your video is, your audience will appreciate the integrity you show them. And that's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, again, make sure to hit the like button and let me know what you think. I always appreciate feedback. Until next time.